Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Now we will look the first part is about introduction of the German Historical School. In 1840, the German Historical School started with the publications of Friedrich List and Wilhelm Rösker. In 1917, it ended when Gustav Skomler died. In general, the economist has absorbed some of the ideas of the school, and the school is no longer exists as a distinct entity. The German historical economists were generally critical of classical economics.
Today we will explore the key historical events that shaped the emergence of this influential economic school in the 19th century. After the Napoleonic Wars, Germany was left divided into 39 small states. In the early 19th century, most of these states were monarchical and government. This fragmentation hindered economic development and created a complex political landscape. Great powers like Austria, Britain, and Russia manipulated Germany for their strategic interests. Austria aimed to keep Germany weak and divided, while Britain sought a strong Prussia and Russia expanded its territory. The struggle against Napoleon sparked patriotic and nationalistic feeling among Germans. Many individuals and groups advocated for the unification of Germany into a single nation-state and for constitutional reforms to establish democratic governance. The Holy Alliance, formed by Prussia, Austria, and Russia in 1815, aimed to maintain conservative order in Europe and suppress revolutionary movement. This alliance stifled democratic aspirations and reinforced the power dynamics in Germany. The Revolution of 1848, which swept across Europe including Germany, aimed at achieving political liberalization and national unity. However, these uprisings were ultimately crushed by conservative forces, leading to a setback for democratic progress. Prussia emerged as the most powerful and influential state in Germany, attracting alliances from other European powers. Its militaristic and authoritarian tendencies shaped the political economic landscape behind countries like England in industrial development. The German economists of the historical school believed that government intervention and support were necessary to promote industrial growth and catch up with more advanced, skillfully harness national sentiments to achieve the unification of Germany under Prussian leadership, culminating in the proclamation of the German Empire in 1871. Otto von Bismarck, the Chancellor of the German Empire, played a pivotal role in the unification of Germany in the late 19th century. Known for his realpolitik approach, Bismarck pursued a policy of strengthening Prussia and consolidating German states under Prussian leadership. Bismarck's diplomatic skills and strategic maneuver, including the use of war and alliances, led to the successful unification of Germany in 1871. As Chancellor, Bismarck implemented social reforms such as the establishment of the welfare state to address social unrest and strengthen the loyalty of the working class to the state. We can see by the laissez-faire, the differences of laissez-faire and the state intervention, which is the British economy. The British economy ideology was largely characterized by laissez-faire principles, emphasizing minimal government intervention in economic affairs. This approach was influenced by classical economists like Adam Smith, who advocated for free market and limited government involvement, while in contrast, the German economic ideology, particularly represented by the historical school of economics, emphasized the positive role of government intervention in economic development. German economists like Friedrich List and Gustav Smoller argued for state intervention to promote industrial growth and protect domestic industries. Mercantilism was an economic system prevalent in Europe during the 16th to the 18th centuries, characterized characterized by state intervention in the economy to promote national wealth and power. Mercantilist policy included protectionist measures like tariff subsidies to domestic industries and the accumulation of precious metals through trade and surpluses. In Germany, mercantilist regulation persists well into the 19th century, even after they had won in other European countries like Britain. The emphasis on state intervention in economic affairs under mercantilism influenced the economic thinking of the time, including the views of the German historical school economists. Britain's economic ideology was more cosmopolitan and individualistic, focusing on free trade and global economic interactions. British economic policy were influenced by mercantilist ideas in earlier centuries but evolved towards free trade principle by the 19th century, while German economic ideology, especially during the rise of the historical school, was characterized by nationalism and had a focus on building of national unity, industrial development, and government support of influence by classical economists like David Ricardo and John Stuart Mill, who emphasized abstract theory of value, distribution, and growth. The classical approach focused on universal economic principles applicable across different contexts, while the German historical school took an evolutionary approach to economics, emphasizing the dynamic and changing nature of economic system. German economists believe in studying historical and social contexts to develop economic theories and tailor to specific national circumstances. Nationalistic sentiment, patriotism, militarism, and a sense of duty and hard work influenced the economic thinking of the German historical school. They emphasized the positive role of the state in fostering economic development and social welfare. Nationalism, a powerful ideological force, emerged in 19th century Europe, promoting the idea of national identity and unity in Germany. Nationalism played a crucial role in the unification process as a variant German-speaking state sought to overcome political fragmentation and assert their collective identity. Nationalism in Germany was intertwined with notions of militarism, patriotism, and a strong sense of duty and a loyalty to the state, as exemplified by Bismarck policies and the subsequent development of a unified German nation-state. The historical background of political division, nationalistic fervor, and economic disparities laid the groundwork for the unique perspective and theories put forth by economists associated with German historical schools such as Friedrich List, Wilhelm Rocher, Gustav Smoller, and...
Hi, my name is Siti Naswa binti Muhammad Rosadi, metric number 8285346. I will continue the presentation with the major tenet of the historical school. There are 4 principles or basic in the thinking of German historical economics. First is evolutionary approach to economics. This major tenet is about the historical school apply a dynamic evolutionary perspective in its study of society. It concentrates on cumulative development and growth. An analogy was sometimes drawn to Darwin's evolution in biology. The social organism is born, develops, and grows, and finally decays and dies. Socially is constantly changing. The picture on the side shows the theory of evolution by Charles Darwin. He changed the way the people of the world view themselves through his amazing idea on evolution and natural selection, where human is actually started from the monkey and then increasing evolved into human. Therefore, what is relevant economic doctrine for one country at the particular time may be irrelevant for another country or another age. This relativistic approach was especially useful in attacking classical economy as being unsuitable for Germany. Second is emphasis on the positive role of government. The historical school was nationalistic while classical economics was individualistic and cosmopolitan. In Germany, it was the taste that fortress industry, transportation, and economic growth. In the process of defending a unified economy, it was easy to develop an ardent nationalistic glorification of the state. The historical school gave great prominence to the need for state intervention in economic affairs and emphasized that the community has interests of its own that are quite distinct from those of the individual. As you can see in the slide, there are pictures that showing a symbol of the role of the government. There is advocacy of conservative reform. Political economists say the historical economists must not merely analyze motives that prompt economic activity, but must weigh and compare the moral merit of this action and their outcome, such as equality versus equity. It must determine a standard of the proper production and distribution of wealth, so that the demand of justice and morality are satisfied. The historical economics thought the German state should be entrusted with the amelioration of conditions for the common man. GSH promote moderate reform that frustrate the drive for more radical democratization of society, such as promoted by socialists. Instead of the poor and lovely fighting and winning their own battle for improvement, concessions were given them by paternalistic state. As you guys can see in the first picture on the slide, it shows the example of equality and equity, where inequality, not everyone get the outcome, even though they have been helped, because according to their need pattern, where in equity, everyone gets the fruit because they get help according to their perspective needs pattern. As a result, royalty, nationalism, and servility to the state were more widespread in Germany, divert the working class from extreme socialist ideology. Lastly is inductive or historical approach. The economists of the historical school emphasize the importance of studying the economy inductively as part of an integrated whole, because economics and other social phenomena are interdependent. Political economy cannot be treated inequally, except in combination with other branches of social science. The historical school criticized the abstract, deductive, static, unrealistic, and historistic qualities of classical and marginalist methodology. It undertook massive inductive study using primary source material and studying changing social institutions. The school claimed that its inductive method allow it to study all the force of an economic phenomena, all the facts of economic behavior, not merely their economic logic. Inductive methods have become generally accepted as complementary to deductive method. As you can see, there is a picture of the difference between deductive by Aristotle and inductive by Charlotte. That's all from me. I will pass the presentation with the lastly is inductive historical approach. The economics of the historical school emphasize the importance of studying the economy inductive as part of the integrated whole, because economics and other social phenomena are interdependent. Political economy cannot be treated inequally, except in combination with other branches of social science. The historical school criticized the abstract, deductive, static, unrealistic, and historical quality of classical and marginalist mythology. It undertook messy inductive study using primary source material and studying changing social institutions. The school claimed that its inductive method allowed it to study all the forces of an economic phenomena, all the phases of economic behavior, not merely their economic logic. Inductive method has become generally accepted as complementary to deductive method. As you can see, there are pictures that shows the difference between deductive by Arista and inductive by Charlotte. That's all from me.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. My name is Aimi Fazlim binti Zulkifli and my matric number 292377. So I will be continue the presentation about whom did the historical school benefit or seek to benefit. There are three benefits. The first one is member of the German Historical School. The second one is dominant business, financial and landowning groups. And the third one is German imperial government. The first to benefit from the German Historical School is the members of the historical school themselves. The main idea brought by the school was suggested by the members themselves. Rationally, the ideas that were recommended by themselves will take into consideration about their own preferences and own benefits. The good relationship and close contacts they have with the government official has significantly contributes to allow them to gain important position in academic life such as university. It is possible because most of the university were controlled by the German government, which they had close relation with. The members of the historical also gained the dominant position in academic posts through the help of Schmuller, which is also known as Professor Maker. Schmuller influence at the Prussian Ministry of Education has allowed him to control a majority of the academic appointments in Germany. Schmuller used it as an opportunity to eliminate other Germans who is a follower of the Austrian marginalist school from the university position, thus replace them with his students and followers. This is to prevent other schools of thought from gaining support by the Germans. Next, the German Historical School also seek to benefit the dominant business, financial, and landowning groups. They were served by the members of the historical school by introducing new reformation, which preventing the rise of more radical democratization in the society. It is believed the landowners, business, and financial groups earn benefit when there is no democracy. Instead of the poor lowly fighting and winning their own battle for improvement, privilege was given by a paternalistic country to let them do something to end their conflict or battle. The effect of it became the reason why in Germany the widespread of sovereignty, nationalism, and loyalty to the regime are greater than other places. The third one is the German imperial government also gained benefit from the historical school by sustaining the government position in a nationalistic state. The German historical school emphasized on national unity and economic development aligned with the goals of the German imperial government in the 19th century. By promoting a nationalistic narrative that emphasized Germany historical and cultural heritage, the historical school provided intellectual support for the government efforts to strengthen the nation state. Additionally, the historical school advocacy for state intervention in the economy support the government efforts to centralize control and promote industrialization. This allowed the government to exert influence over economy policy, and guide industrial growth in line with national interests. That's all for me. I will pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. My name is Airul Husaini bin Zul Zakaria and my metric number is 293648. I will be discussing further about how was the historical school benefit valid, useful or correct in its time. There are two things that will be discussed or present, which is the first one is evolutionary approach and also inductive method. Well, the first one is the evolutionary approach on economics. The evolutionary approach to society and also economics thought has provide a useful solution to abstract thinking of the marginalists and also to the classical schools. The historical school was on point or correct when it said for the economists to fully understanding the present world, they need to get familiar with the changing of the change of historical events and also changing conditions in the environment for economics for them to come up with the new idea, the new theories that can adapt to the current economic situations. In order to fully understand the present world, the inductive factual studies were required for this task. And the new ideas and also the new theories had to be evoked for the economists to fully understand the new situations. And those new ideas and also new theories had to be done a very careful testing, are required to do a very careful testing through the use of the empirical data. And this particular inductive method will be discussed more detail by the next presenter. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nasuha. Assalamualaikum and a good day to sir and fellow friends. I am Farini Binti Baharudin with metric number 285595. I will talk about the which tenets of the historical school become lasting contributions. There are three tenets which become the lasting contribution, which are the inductive method, attack on laissez-faire, and German nationalism advocated. We will go through one by one. First one is the inductive method. Economists agree that historical empire data are required to explain the three things which are the present, to test old theories and to develop new ones. Nowadays, historical inductive method has become generally accepted as complementary to the deductive method. For example, econometric analysis normally incorporates both abstract theory and empirical testing. To be more clearer, you can see the picture that I provide on the slide, the graph one. Next, attacks on laissez-faire. This theme was the trend of the future. In these situations, the members of historical school recognize that unrestricted free enterprise does not necessarily produce the best possible result for society as a whole. They were right in their belief that reform can be substitute for worse upheaval brought on by sharpening class distinctions. The last lasting contributions is German nationalism advocated by the historical economists overreact itself as it involved in frenzied militarism. In 1914, hopes were raised that the world would achieve peace, international cooperation, and universal harmony. So some of the ideas presented by the historical economists were detrimental to society progress. Historical economists struck as a strident note of nationalism that jarred this internationalist sentiment of goodwill. Unfortunately, the contribution to climate in Germany led to World War I and II. We will move to the characters who are contribution in developing the ideas of German historical school. As you can see on the slide, there are three characters which are Friedrich List, Wilhelm Roscher, and Gustav Schumacher. I will talk about two characters only, which are Friedrich List and Wilhelm Roscher, and the last one, my friend will continue to present about it. First, let's talk about Friedrich List. He was born in 1879 in Reutlingen. After receiving formal education, he entered into government service at an early age of 17 as clerk in 1819. In my opinion, he was a great person as he can start working at an early age. Because he was a good worker, so he got accession to the position of ministerial undersecretary. In 1819, he became a professor of administration and politics in University of Tübingen. While busy being a professor, he also active in promoting strong German political and commercial unity. He also presented a petition for a custom union to the Federal Assembly on behalf of an association of merchants and manufacturers. A petition is for a custom union to the Federal Assembly. However, in 1820, he was being prisoning for 8 months as advocated other administrative and financial reforms that were considered very radical in his day. From 1825 to 1832, he lived in the United States where he became a farmer, a journalist, and a business promoter, making and losing a fortune in coal mining. His protectionist idea gained much more popularity in the United States than in Germany. After returning to Germany, he became an ardent advocate of a railway network for Germany. The railway lines later built a German word to follow closely his sketch in pamphlet published in 1833. His efforts to create a German custom union were realized in the establishment of the Zollverein in 1834. The plan he presented for a German postal system and a national patent law were realized more than 20 years after his death. Unfortunately, due to ill health, financial difficulties, and despair over the delay in German unification's darkness in his latter day, he committed suicide in 1846. His great work was The National System of Political Economy, published in 1840. The book is in the middle of my point, if you can see that. First, he would like to do a protection for infant industry. He advocated free trade within Germany while championing a high tariff against import of manufacturing goods to protect newly emerging domestic industries. This position is now commonly called the infant industry defense to tariff. He opposed protection for agriculture because this was an old, mature industry, and because of manufacturing required cheap food for labor and cheap raw material. He also severely condemned Adam Smith and his followers for claiming universality for doctrines that were inappropriate for England and inappropriate for underdeveloped country. Heavy emphasis was placed on what history teaches and the importance of the state. List also applied his arguments against free trade to less developed nations such as Germany in 1840 when it had only infant industry. Only after a country reached industrial maturity could it revert for a free trade. Then, he also denied Adam Smith's notions of the harmony of interest. List arguing that the immediate private interest of certain number of the community does not necessarily lead to the highest good of a whole. For him, a nation may be suffered. National unity, which is the result of fast development, is necessary to the individual, whose interest should be subordinated to the preservation of these onenesses. You can see the quote from him, which he said, "An individual in promoting his own interest may injure the public interest. A nation in promoting the general welfare may check the interest of a part of its member." So, in my opinion, to do something, we need to see overall which are the advantages and the consequence of doing it. Lastly, he also increases the productive power. Military preparations, war, and war debts, said he, may in certain cases immensely increase the productive power of a country. He give the example England. England will increase value that England receive annually, which is increased output produced far exceeded the annual interest as it is a largest world debt. He also say that spending money on supplying its armies, which means shipping goods to the theatre of the war, will run foreign manufacturers and ensure England industrial supremacy. Now, we will move to another character, which is Wilhelm Roscher. He studied history and political science at Göttingen and Berlin. In 1840, he became a lecturer in both these subjects, which are political and economic, at the University of Göttingen. In 1844, he was called to the University of Leipzig, where he remained until his death. His 5-volume textbook, Economic Science, took 40 years to complete, which is from 1854 until 1894. It was widely used in German school. The first volume reached 13 editions by 1878 when it was translated into English as Principle of Political Economy. You can see the book at the side. I think at my left hand side, the book is with a blue cover. Besides that, he also one of the founder of the older historical school, or we can call it OHS. OHS wanted to supplement classical theory, where the younger historical school YHS will lead. That's led by Gustav Schumacher, wished to supersede it entirely with historical studies and policy considerations. Although Roscher repudiated the classical economics that he had learned in his youth, but he still built upon these ideas. This was the basis for the YHS condemnation of OHS. His contribution are by two, historical method and historical basis of deductive methods. First, let's focus on historical methods. In historical method, he tried to establish the law of economic development by using historical method from the investigation of historical, legal, political, and other aspects. He continued that the objective of political economy is not to establish the best possible state of things, but to describe the actual state at which the economy has arrived through continual development. For him, societies are continually evolving from immature to mature form, which may be considered the most perfect. The mature society, however, eventually decline and decay for the evolution theory. He added that the knowledge gained using the historical method does away with the feeling of self-sufficiency, and the higher civilization will not look down with contempt on the lower ones. Move to the last one, historical basis of deductive method. In his book, Principle of Political Economy, you can see the book is at the middle. Nice book cover for me. He showed his affinity for economic theory by including a simplified version of English classical price theory. Instead of disdaining abstract theory, he sought to discover its historical basis. He asserted that the study of contemporary facts and opinion is essential adjunct to the classical deductive method. If you can see, between Roscher and List, Roscher was much closer to the classical theory of economics. It contrasts to the List, which are more focused on the productive forces of every nation. I think that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter, Lila, to continue presenting. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, now we will look the last character is about Gustav von Schumacher from 1838 until 1917. Okay, now we will look the history and background. Okay, Gustav von Skomler, born in 24 June 1838. Place of birth is Heilbronn, German. He died in 27 June 1917 at age 79 years at Bad Hart, German. Skomler was leading figure of Younger Historical School, YHS. He also a professor of political science at Herrhardstadt in Berlin. He also an active member of the Academy of Science and House of Lords of the Prussian Diet. He also a founder and major leaders of the Variant for Social Politics Association (PF) Social Policy. Okay, next, the organization advocate social legislation and help promote to the idea of greater government activity such as social and academic. And then, Skomler wanted to develop economy exclusively on the basis of historical monograph. And lastly, he was antagonistic to deductive method as he is one of the scholars that contributes to inductive approach in economics. Okay, next we will look the Methodenstreit. So firstly, a famous controversy between Skomler GHS and Karl Marx, Austrian marginalist school. So they fight each other. And second, the Methodenstreit means battle of method between inductive method versus deductive methods. The Methodenstreit, Skomler versus Marx. The battle began when Marx had published a book on methodology that defends theoretical analysis, deductive method, and rates Skomler inductive method as merely secondary in importance. Skomler reviewed the book unfavorably in his charge purge, and Marx replies in an angry pamphlet titled Error of Historicism. Skomler has also printed the insulting letter to Marx that he was included with the immediately to the author. In the end, economists believe that both inductive and deductive methods are important and they are normally supplement each other. Okay, the modern street. So we will look the battle of method, deductive versus inductive. Deductive. Okay, firstly we will look the deductive method. Okay, from Karl Marx. Okay, the analytical and abstract approach pioneered by David Ricardo. So Ricardo began with basic premise and used the logic to deduct generalizations. His tendency is to use assumption to his argument. The method of partial equilibrium analysis, championed by many members of marginalist school, was useful for abstracting from the complexity of the real world in order to better understand it. This approach is changing one variable of a time to change while holding all other variables temporary constants. So it enables the investigator to dissect complex phenomena one step at a time. Next, we will do the social reform. So Skomler believed that ethical value judgment should be encouraged. Economic system could be achieved through paternalistic policy of social reform by state and all social groups. Then, the guiding principle of social reform is more equitable distribution of income. Next, he accused the older historical school of attempting to apply the lessons of history too quickly. However, younger historical school also failed to produce any economic theory despite massive historical study done by him and his students. And lastly, their major contribution lay in the area of economic history. Next, he also protectionism. Firstly, although Skomler was an ardent advocate of free trade. During his younger age, he changed his views on protectionism late in his life. In 1901, he favored a protective tariff for Germany, and he hailed Alexander Hamilton and Friedrich List as his teacher. He had justified tariff on the basic needs of Eastern industry, argument and fortune for it. And lastly, he felt that tariffs are international weapons that might benefit a country if it is being used skillfully. And the last part is conclusion. The German Historical School, GHS, arose in 1840 with the publications of Friedrich List and Wilhelm Rösker, and ended in 1970 when Gustav Scoeller died. In general, GHS were critical of classical economics. Their critiques, the abstract, deductive, static, unrealistic, and historical qualities of classical and marginalist methodology. GHS suggests the use of evolutionary and inductive method in economic analysis and emphasize government interventions in the economy through conservative reform. GHS economists try to improve the situations of ordinary people by improving their health status, living standards, and efficiency as factory workers. The combinations of nationalism, patriotism, militarism, paternalism, devotion to duty and hard work, and massive government intervention are not only promote the industrial growth in Germany. The combination also strengthened the loyalty of workers and ordinary people to the state and prevent them from supporting the extreme socialist ideology.